It is One Soccer Today for this Friday, January the 19th. Oliver Platt, Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, and Adam Jenkins here with you. Gentlemen, it's Friday. We got to the end of our first week back. We had a great show prepared. We had this fancy lineup. This is for all of those not in the industry as my fire alarm goes off. Destroyed, and it's all thanks to Canada Soccer's news drop at 9:49 a.m. Mountain Time. It came out that Mauro Biello has been extended to lead the Canadian men's national team into their Copa America qualifier this upcoming March. Adding for Mauro Biello, he said, "We have some unfinished business and we are all solely focused on winning and booking our place into one of the world's biggest tournaments against some of the biggest and best competition our sport can offer. This is an important step for our group of players, our program in Canada, as the journey continues towards the FIFA World Cup." Well, Gareth Wheeler, it feels like just a few days ago we were speculating about the search with the incoming General Secretary Alison Walker starting on Monday. We find out today that Mauro Biello will be the man in charge until a replacement is found, and that search is still underway.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Canada Soccer said initially when he took over for John Herman as the interim head coach. And guess what? There's no new Canadian men's national team head coach, although people within the Canadian Soccer Association do maintain that it's of a significant priority to get done. But as we alluded to on the show earlier this week, yeah, Biello was still overseeing the men's national team program at that time. There was a change based upon failure to beat Jamaica last time out, so the status quo was in place. Things still remain really quiet at the Canadian Soccer Association. That's because the association is in a process of transition now with the new General Secretary, Alison Walker, set to start in her new job on Monday. The Biello choice to keep on and making an announcement like this, I'm sure the people that were wanting to see change, they still won't be happy, but it provides a little bit more concrete detail in terms of maybe a timeline on when the men's national team head coach will be named. That will not be before March. Ollie, you and I said it on the show earlier this week. The clock was ticking. It just didn't seem realistic to bring in a new voice and have them play in order to apply whatever they need to change or do to take the Canadian men's national team to the next step ahead of a critical game against Trinidad and Tobago in March. So it's not really a Friday news drop per se. It does provide a little bit of clarity of where the CSA is at. And that timeline for a men's national team coach, it just continues to get pushed out. So Biello will stay in charge. I do think that he is capable enough to get a result against Trinidad and Tobago. There will be questions. There needs to be a response after the way things ended against Jamaica last time out. But consistency in voice in a time of great change within the Canadian Soccer Association, that seems to be the way that they're proceeding.
Yeah, I just don't think there was ever going to be enough time here to go through that process properly if you want to do it thoroughly in the right way of hiring a new head coach before March 23rd. You know, it's got to come a bit earlier than March 23rd, obviously, to give that new coach time to properly prepare for that game. If that coach is not from Canada and coming internationally, then maybe they need even more time to get bedded in. I just didn't think that was a realistic timeline. So I think it makes sense, as much as I'm sure some people will be disappointed by it. I think it makes sense to just get that out now and have clarity now, and kind of state where they're at, and then go about that coaching search without the pressure of having to have someone in place for a game that I didn't think it was realistic to expect to do so. So look, I'm not saying that you can't be disappointed that this is dragging out and this is taking a long time, but I think the criticism probably belongs with, the speed at which the general secretary hiring happens and things that happened last year more than it does this decision now. I just think you needed to be further ahead of things late in 2023 to have really expected that new head coach to come in early in 2024. What I will say is that, look, Mauro Biello, he had a rough time of it in that second half against Jamaica. There were some mistakes made, got a lot of criticism for it. He's a capable enough coach to get Canada through a tie against Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't think there should be any excuses here for this group of players with their talent, in comparison to the opponent they're facing. They have to win this game, and they're perfectly capable of winning this game with Biello in charge. So I hope they go into that camp with the right mindset, the right expectations, and get the job done to qualify for Copa America.
Jordan, if I can just jump back in for a second, I feel like the Canadian Soccer Association made this announcement and put out the term extended because his job is going to be extended through March. It's a little bit confusing, but I feel like they thought with the new general secretary coming in and lots of questions being asked that they needed to clarify the situation. I am told that the CSA are still very confident. They believe in Biello, that he can get the job done, and that he's still one of the candidates and will be one of the candidates for the men's national team head coaching job on a permanent basis, just like Jason DeVos was a candidate for the general secretary in terms of the way that played out. So just a little bit of clarification there, just in terms of why this release was put out and maybe where the state of play actually is.
Yeah, and also just to pick up off of what Ali and Wheel said, I think the limbo stage, if it were to happen, and it wasn't said that Biello was extended, that could be detrimental. I think now knowing the coach going into these games is important, but also just from the player standpoint, knowing that, okay, they dropped the ball against Jamaica at BMO, but there's still redemption to go and take care of business in March. Against a Trinidad and Tobago side that they are superior than, they are better than, but you have to go and show it on the day. And even I would say if you're looking at Canada when they played Jamaica, I think Canada is the better side. They have more talent, but they just weren't together for all 90 minutes. So that could just be a lesson. Biello has experienced that with the team. Biello's with them in Qatar. He knows the team. Maybe bringing someone else in this crucial, vulnerable time wouldn't be the best decision, but they have to go and get the job done. There are literally no excuses for this match. And we just want to see a side that is humble, really willing to work for each other, and then just take care of all the moments, the 90 plus minutes that are in football, not just do a half, really look after it. But it should be a win. And I think this nation really needs it. And then this program needs it as well.
Well, they'll be hoping there'll be more of a sense of calm there, Gareth Wheeler. And with it, like, this is a story, obviously, we're going to continue to follow. This will be a talking point as we preview the Trinidad and Tobago match. But one of the other things that has been a concern for some, many, it will feel like at times, is the goalkeeping situation. And we didn't get a update, per se, on the starting goalkeeper for Canada, but we did find out that one of the goalkeepers in the pool, Max Crepeau, will be wearing new colors next year as he signs with the Portland Timbers. We can only imagine he gets quite the pay raise and links up with Phil Neville, Oliver Platts. Do you think that this is a good move for him as he tries to lay claim to that number one shirt?
I think it's a good move. I think, look, if there was an opportunity for Crepeau to go to the next level, to go to Europe or somewhere that allows him to really progress and challenge himself, I think, everyone would have liked to have seen that. But I also think this is probably... I think the Canada job is there for him to take. I think he should start against Trinidad. I believe he is the best goalkeeper in the Canadian pool right now. And what this move does for him is it's safe, right? He's going to be Portland's number one goalkeeper. He's going to play 30, 40 games this season. And he's going to continue to have that rhythm and stability, obviously having come off that long-term injury last year. So I think this for me is a move that just allows him to continue the momentum he started to rebuild last season. With LAFC, it's a good club. It's a club that should be competitive in the Western Conference. He has that relationship with not just Phil Neville, but a number of Canadians who are on that team now. So I'm fine with it. As much as we always say, if you get that opportunity to push yourself beyond MLS, take it and go for it. I think sometimes in certain situations, and maybe Crepeau is one of those right now, there's also something to be said for stability, for minutes, and for the consistency he's going to get there.
Jordo, your thoughts on the move and what this might mean? I feel like we had this conversation with Michelle Prince yesterday.
Yeah, no, I think also too, I was talking to all you guys in the week about just mindset, right? Like sometimes playing in Europe, you're trying to go and play in America, but then if you're American or you're playing the MLS, you want to go to Europe. At the end of the day, it's like finding your level and making sure that you can play and be the best is really the underlying factor. Yeah, you can break it down in ages. If you're younger, you want to be playing. But I think as a goalkeeper, just knowing that you're secure and you can show up week in and week out and be playing and doing your best. I think for Max Crepeau, 2026, being in between the six for Canada has to be that number one goal. But it's initially just him playing and getting better. So are Portland a better team than LAFC? No, they're not. But is this a backwards move for him? I don't think so. I think as a keeper, your job is just to be the best and really show up in moments. I think he can do that, Portland.
Well, and from the sounds of it, so this was financially motivated. There was some reporting by Kevin Baxter of the LA Times that he made $350,000 last year, and 23 goalkeepers across Major League Soccer made more money than that. And he wanted to have an increase in terms of what he was getting paid. And you can make the argument, I think, fairly easily that he's one of the top 23 best goalkeepers in Major League Soccer, probably vastly superior to that. And LAFC decided to bring in Hugo Lloris as a replacement. They didn't want to lose Max Crepeau. They wrote some very kind things about Max on the website. Obviously, a good goalkeeper, an outstanding person. And his story from breaking his leg to coming back and playing the way that he did, it's inspirational. And what Canadians like about Max Crepeau as well, this move does come with inherent risk, though, and that's the fact that playing behind an LAFC team who is one of the best teams and has been for the last few years, one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. And yes, they might be going through some change this year, but they're still going to be a very good team. The way that that club is run, just in what they're willing to do to kind of push the envelope, I think you can be pretty confident in what you're getting in LAFC. As for Portland Timbers, where are you going to? You're going to a club with, some Canadians in the team, McGraw and Miller, and we all like that sort of thing as Canadians, but it's a team that finished 10th place in a not a very good Western Conference last year that has made a managerial change. Phil Neville, a controversial pick. Obviously, I'm a Neville fan to a certain degree with my Manchester United, the way that I support that team and his past, and clearly he's well connected and he knows a lot about the game. But is he going to be able to apply what he needs to make that team much better than it was? And thus far in the transfer window, they've lost players, still relatively early. We need to see what that team looks like. And if he's playing behind a Portland Timbers team that isn't very good, goalkeepers oftentimes take the brunt of the blow and criticism for when their team in front of them might not be very good defensively. So I think that it's going to take some time to see if this will play off in terms of whether he can improve as a goalkeeper and what that means for his hopes of being the number one for Canada in 2026. That has to be in the back of any goalkeeper, any player, Canadian player's mind right now. What position is going to put me in the best position to play an enhanced role heading into a home World Cup? And this move, Adam, I'm not sure right now. I'm simply not sure what that means.
Well, Phil Neville, of course, who came over from John Herdman's staff, was clearly very excited to see Max Crepeau put pen to paper. And speaking of the comments that LAFC had for Crepeau, Neville had some of his own speaking on the signing of the new goalkeeper. I'm excited to welcome Max to our team. He is one of the top goalkeepers in Major League Soccer and comes with great experience of winning in the league. His big leadership qualities will make the team stronger. That is, of course, Phil Neville, freshly in charge in Portland. So we'll track that story very close. Of course, Dane St. Clair also in Major League Soccer. He wants a claim at that number one shirt. It's a good position to be in to have three goalkeepers competing and challenging for that role. A couple of stories we could have spoken about today, but we landed with another Canada Soccer news release this morning, and that was the confirmation that our women's national team will indeed be playing in the SheBelieves Cup coming up in April. A revised format this year, down from 6 games to straight into semi-final football. Canada will start the tournament against Brazil on April the 6th. That is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, while Japan and the US square off in the other semifinal. The winners, they will play against each other for the SheBelieves Cup title. Both of the final and bronze medal matches will take place at lower.com field in Columbus, Ohio. So some fixtures for our women's national team to get excited about coming up in just a few months. Fitting that this segment is presented by Visa because they also present the SheBelieves Cup. So thanks to them. And now time for our Tony Bet top picks. Wrapping up the show with our soccer lines presented by Tony Bet. I do want to start the show by shouting out Jordan's big money win yesterday. How much you put on Iraq yesterday to beat Japan, Jordo? Because you got the 2-1 victory.
I'm going to stop talking about bets because obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, this is just, it's insane.
The head honcho is standing down. We're going to come back to him first for our first question. With 5 Premier League games only this weekend, Arsenal, your boys, Jordo, overwhelming favorites, minus 345 against Palace on Saturday. Or can you find some value in Palace at plus 1,000? Did you learn something yesterday?
I would never. That's blasphemy. I'm never going against the Gunners. But also, I just think that they're going to win. I think that they're going to be at that spot. They're not going to win the Premier League, but they'll probably finish third. Good old Gunners.
Oliver Platt, the other Saturday match, Brentford hosting Nottingham Forest. Brentford minus 110, the draw plus 275. Forest plus 300.
Yeah, Forest manager Nuno Espirito Santo. Espirito Santo translates to the Holy Spirit. And I believe Forest fans and bettors alike will be considering him their savior as they win this game.
That was class.
Wheeler. That was beautiful. Sunday, Sheffield United at home, underdogs against West Ham. West Ham plus 122, Sheffield United plus 240. Wheels.
Ivan Toney's back for Brentford, so Forest is not winning that game. Also playing the FA Cup. I like the under. I like the total in that game. Sheffield United gone the under 6 of the last 7 games. West Ham 5 of 7. West Ham are missing a lot of attacking players out through injury and suspension. Under 2.5 and minus 125 is the play of the weekend.
Those are your plays presented by Tony Betts. And this is the end of our return to One Soccer today with a new theme song, new animation, but the same fellas you've grown to love oh so much. Hope you have a great weekend, everybody. Hope you'll join us on Monday. We'll see you then on One Soccer today.